Dimitri Bivol says that Canelo versus Kovalev would have been a lot different had it happened 4 years prior. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working now. You know, it's really not looking good for old media at this point. Dimitri Bivol, light heavyweight champion in the same division as the two who just fought, Canelo and Kovalev. He just did an interview, and I'm going to read his quote and then kind of expand. He was ringside. Obviously, he's an interested observer because he's a champion in that division, and he's been calling out Canelo. And Bivol says, if Sergey Kovalev would have met the same Canelo Alvarez 4 years ago, everything could have been different. Now it was clear that Sergey was fatigued. He boxed not that long ago, talking about the yard fight, and he's not the same fighter as he was years ago. Everyone saw the fight. Canelo boxed well. Sergey lost, but I still think Sergey is an excellent boxer and one of the best in the world. You know, that's what Bivol's team said. So, once again, new media, this is what I told you from the beginning, and people think for whatever reason everyone has reason to hate on Canelo. Canelo opens himself up for skepticism and criticism with the selection process. Kovalev now, which I'm going to make a separate video about, is saying he had too quick of a turnaround time between his last fight and this fight, and he was getting tired. So some people think the outcome was artificial, stage, fix. I could see that, you know what I'm saying? It's just the whole theme, the whole event seemed fishy. You know, the acting buddy, patting the gloves at the end of rounds and stuff like that. But even if it was 100% authentic, this is what we are at with it. And it's funny because I told you this was an advanced cherry pick. And people got mad at me and new media for saying this, but now you see people like Dimitri Bivol saying what I told you from the beginning. Before the fight even happened, I didn't wait for Canelo to knock out Kovalev and tell you that. I told you this when the fight was announced. I'm more interested in Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, because this is an advanced cherry pick. Kovalev was just in a war with Anthony Yarde, nearly got stopped, and he has a super quick turnaround. From the fight announced mid-September to now, he had like a 5-week camp. And, you know, you got to get in shape and, you know, no time to rest. And you were just in a taxing fight, age 36. Very predictable. I told you this before the outcome. So don't say, oh, you're hating because Canelo's the man. He knocked up. I picked Canelo by knockout for this very reason. I said late rounds. I got this 100% right. And this is why I said advanced cherry pick. Now you have professional champions and fighters in the same division saying, hey, if this had been Sergey Kovalev 4 years ago, I think it'd be a lot different. But, you know, it's clear he's not the same. This is what I told you. This is not the same Crusher Kovalev from the Ward fight or anything like that. You know, and once again, this is why Canelo is going to continue to receive criticism because of Eric Morales said the same thing. He is fighting fighters at a point, you know, strategically. And it's so funny that Canelo's fan base and the man fans and the people who worship him and refuse to have any critiques or criticism on what he's doing. It's funny to hear how some of the same people, some of the same old media fans criticized Floyd Mayweather heavily and claimed he waited till people got older and the right time. So what is Canelo doing? How do you hate it? This shows you that race plays a part to some people. How do you hate Floyd Mayweather and your rationale is because he waited till people got old, even though Pacquiao was younger than him and a slew of other guys. But you say, oh, he waited till guys got old in the right time. Then Cotto was older than Canelo. He only fought a couple more times after that Canelo fight. You know, he took a long layoff and stuff. Sergey Kovalev, 36. Like, this is what Eric Morales told you. How many people have Canelo fought? How many people has he fought aged 35 to 41-ish or older? You know, Kermit Cintron, that was prime Kermit Cintron. Shane Mosley was in his prime. Floyd was in his prime at age 37. Kovalev in his prime at 36 when I told you he wasn't the Crusher. This is why I said it's an advanced cherry pick, you know. and that's just what it is. There's a lot of, Julio Cesar Chavez. He wasn't. I don't know his age, but was he in his prime after being stopped by Andres Fonfara, having discipline issues? I really thought he lost to Brian Vera. He definitely lost to Sergio Maravilla Martinez. That's what I'm saying. Canelo, to rid this criticism, he's going to have to step up and fight someone who we feel is in prime. Charlo, Andrade, Beterbiev. I mean, he has a slew of options, and that's the thing. Like Terrence Crawford, people want to compare and talk about pound for pound. We know, based on Terrence Crawford, I just talked to him 2 weeks ago at the Shakur Stevenson fight. We know Terrence Crawford, if it was up to him, would be going after all the top dogs at welterweight. But politics have gotten in the way where he wasn't able to fight Pacquiao. Top Rank refused to make it, Pacquiao's team, whatever. And now there's this cross the street stuff with PBC fighters, and he's on Top Rank. Canelo is the face of boxing, so he doesn't have this dilemma. Canelo doesn't have a dilemma where he can't point his finger and say, hey, I want to fight Charlo. And then if it's a reasonable deal, the fight won't happen. He can be the A side where a guy's a champion 2 divisions higher, like Kovalev, and still come out second and the champion walk out first. So Canelo has the power in the A side advantage to really fight anybody in the sport that he wants to. And he's choosing, him and his team, these stipulations and rules and stuff. The same thing that they claimed Mayweather did, which he never did. And if he did, he didn't abuse it like this, right? How many times have we seen where Mayweather was at a severe height and strength disadvantage to somebody else? And Canelo is blatantly taking advantage of this and ODing on the A-sideness and fighting people at certain ages and stuff. That's the same shit they claim they hate Mayweather when he did, or they claim he did, which he didn't even do, like what they're saying. And people want you to anoint Canelo as the best ever and top. This is why he's getting criticism. Dimitri Bivol just told you. He says, if this was 4 years ago, I think it's a totally different crusher. And I understand to a degree, right? To a degree, this is part of boxing. Like, for example, Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia fought Eric Morales. A lot of people are going to say, Morales was 40 years old. The difference being is not all of his big name fights were fighting people like Morales in the 40-year-old. He fought Mauricio Herrera when he was in prime. He fought Keith Thurman when he was still undefeated in prime. He fought Sean Porter, who had respectable losses, right? He fought Adrian Granados, who was doing well for himself and had respectable losses. He fought people like that. Lamont Peterson, he didn't wait till Peterson was, in his last fight of his career to necessarily fight him, etc., right? And that's what it's going to take for it to rebuild Canelo's image, for people to really give him credit, because people see the walls are closing in. The franchise champion, his weigh-in turnout was a lot smaller. He had to wait for UFC 244. His star power is waning, especially being on DAZN. And people aren't stupid. You can get mad at my channel, you can get mad at new media, but everyone's saying the same thing. I talked to Andre Ward. I have the video. It's up on the channel. He says he's fighting Sergey Kovalev. He ain't fighting the Crusher. And we know that. And I told you, Andre Ward set the blueprint. We know that's why he chose him. Same thing with Canelo versus Danny Jacobs. If you look at it, Canelo fought Jacobs only after he had lost to Triple G, which is a competitive fight. I thought Jacobs won, but they didn't. They took his belt because they said he lost. Then he had a fight where he was too emotional with Luis Cuba Arias, so it wasn't his sharpest work. He got the job done. And then he had 2 tough-ass fights with Selesky and Derevchenko, where some people felt it could have went either way. That's when Canelo chooses to fight him. So, the walls are closing in. And I think to reverse this, Canelo has to stop with all the nonsense and the weight stipulations and stuff and fight somebody. Like Beterbiev is a perfect example. I told you the Kovalev fight was an advanced cherry pick. You know why. We know it's not the Crusher. He had been stopped, multiple losses. He was on the way out versus Anthony Yard, his very last fight. You give him 5 weeks to train and tax him with the rehydration clause. He struggles to make weight and misses weight 3 times. And you don't think that's predictable what the outcome's going to be against the younger, fresher person versus Artur Beterbiev. See, the people is the Canelo apologists and man fans and old media and the racist fans of Canelo, the ones that are racist, they aren't going to tell you this, and they're going to make it look like people are hating on Canelo because they want to abandon and not hold him to a standard, and they know what is being said is true. If he fights Artur Beterbiev next, or David Benavidez, or Charlo, or Andrade, there is literally no excuse. Andrade just knocked down Selesky, did better than Danny Jacobs versus Selesky, and beat him convincingly. He's a 2-division champion, and he's undefeated, and he's currently a champion. So how would Canelo not get credit for that? If he fought Charlo just almost stopped Korobov in a tough fight, last minute switch, beat Brandon Adams and had him in survival mode, undefeated champion, knocked out a guy who's a unified champion in his old division, in Julian J. Rock Williams, Canelo would get credit for that. Same thing with Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev just looked terrific versus Vodstick. Competitive fight, he pulled away, he got the stoppage. Undefeated, powerhouse puncher, right? David Benavidez, tall, just stopped Anthony Durrell, the first person to do it. The walls are closing in. Caleb Smith, another person, undefeated, just bombed out Hassan Ndam. He's been looking good. Won the Ali Trophy in the World Boxing Super Series. So if Canelo fights any of these type of people, and you notice a lot of them are tall, got some attributes to them, and they have momentum and accomplishments and stuff like that. Caleb Smith knocked out the guy he fought for the title, Rocky Fielding. Caleb Smith did it in 1 round. Canelo did it, I think, in 3. So again, until Canelo starts fighting somebody without these stipulations, then he's putting himself in the line of fire for criticism. Again, I cannot think of any criticism if he were to cleanly, with no stipulations, beat Artur Beterbiev or David Benavidez. What could people say? Oh, but Beterbiev just unified the division in a fight with Vodstick. You can't take nothing away from him. So people see the strategies: Eric Morales, Marquez, Chavez, Bivol, and that's what Canelo's doing. He's using his celebrity, and his celebrity is waning for this reason. Let me know what you guys think. I agree with Bivol. I told you this was before the fight, before the outcome. Kovalev was an advanced cherry pick. You're giving him no time to rest. Like, why didn't you fight Kovalev in February, March of next year? Give him some time to rest. You really want to fight and prove the 4-division stuff and prove that you're the best, and give the man the time to rest from a tough Anthony Yarde fight which he was nearly stopped. Why not do that? Because it's a strategy, and we see it, and the world's seeing it more and more. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash that like button. We work.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.